Okay, good afternoon to anybody that's joining us today. Thank you very much for sparing the time to hear what we have to say. We've brought together this group to clear up some of the misconceptions about what can and cannot be done in the hair and beauty industry, and a little bit about the aesthetic industry as well. And we have Marisa Dimitriadis from Six Skincare, Sparlicious and Spa Consultants, Cherie Ten Hope from Dermalogica, Bronwyn Young, also with Dermalogica, and Stav Dimitriadis, who is from Twincare, of course. Without further ado, I'd like to just explain there's a Q&A area, which is at the bottom of your screens, everybody that's here. Please place your questions there, and we will review and answer where we can. And the next bit that we're going to do is a short presentation by Marisa, who's just going to clarify a few things in a checklist kind of way to give you some clarity, but also a few suggestions of what you should or shouldn't be doing. So over to you, Marisa.
Great, thanks, Phil. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to share my screen quickly. Okay, Phil, if you can just confirm if you can see my screen.
I certainly can.
Okay, super. That means everybody else can. Okay, so we're going to start off today's presentation with something a little bit more lighthearted. I know everybody is freaking out and thinking about, okay, what do I do? And I'm seeing all of this going on Facebook and Instagram, and how do I go about this? So I'd like you all to just pull back for the next 15 minutes while I share some information with you. Clear your heads, and let's try and focus on things that are important to get us ready for when we can trade. Okay, so I'm going to go through a little checklist with you, some information that is available to you from various different sources, and then we'll open up the questions later. So if I can make a suggestion to everybody, if you can hold off your questions to after we have done the Q&A with the panel, because a lot of what you may have to ask, we are going to ask in the beginning. So if you can hold off your questions, please, until after the Q&A panel has been done. And then also, I love it when we have major interaction in our chat box. Phil, is the chat box working? That function is working, right?
Sorry, I've muted myself. Yes, the chat box is working, as is the
Q&A.
Q&A. Yeah.
Okay. So super. Okay, thanks so much. So I really like to interact with you, even though I can't see anybody and speak to you. But please, everybody, feel free to go into the chat box, because that way it gives us an idea, and we can interact and chat to each other as we work through this presentation. So first things first is, please, everybody, the hashtag that we're using for today is down here at the bottom. It's hashtag PB Lockdown, okay? And I'd like you all to share what we are doing here today. Go onto any social media site that you do belong to and share what we are doing as an industry, because that way we are more noticed, and people, around us can see that we are spending our time wisely by learning and by interacting with each other. Okay, so we have a Facebook support group going. If anybody would like to join that, you just go onto Facebook, and it's called hashtag Coaching You Through COVID-19. We also have a COVID coaching group that is available for any of you who would like to join that. There's a telephone number there. You can just take a screenshot, send a WhatsApp to that number, and you'll get the link. Okay. And then, yeah, if you can just post to social media, say that we're learning and we're growing, and everybody's just trying to support each other and grow together in our industry. So I think if we can open up the chat box, I'm not going to read every single comment. How is everybody feeling? at the moment? Use a word to describe what are you feeling. Oh boy, I'm scared for this, but anyway, let's hear. Optimistic, excited, frustrated, livid. Okay, strangely excited, scared, out of control, emotional, shattered. Despondent after the minister mentioning our industry. At least we got a mention, Gunther. We got a mention. That's what counts. Okay. Frustrated and angry, challenged, frustrated, can't get a permit, annoyed, optimistic, positive, anxious, helpless, uncertain, annoyed and over this, apprehensive, broken, depressed. Okay, we're going to change that. We're going to change that, okay, with this session. I think everybody's going to, your words that you're going to mention at the end of this are definitely going to be different to what they are now. Very worried, confused, unsure, devastated, angry to be stuck at home, worn out, strangely calm, ready for the next chapter. I love that. Absolutely amazing. Irritated, went to the shop, minimum people wearing masks. So happy that we are, I love this, so happy that we are able to have these meetings because they keep us positive. Yes, Mena, well done, beautiful. Okay, not happy, a mention is not good enough. Others who are more at risk can roam around, desperate. Frustrated and broke, cuck. Okay, that's interesting. Missing my clients, that's beautiful, right? Okay, go to the next level, confused, missing my clients, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, so we've really got a bunch of mixed feelings, which is great for everybody to express how they're feeling. And then we'll go through the presentation that we have to and see how everybody feels a little bit later on when we're done with it. So I think I'd like to start off with putting everybody's in the picture, and I'm sure you all know this, and if you don't, then just giving you something to really think about, that the estimated impact period that we have ahead of us is 12 to 18 months, okay? We're looking at a continuous up and down of disruptions in how we work for the next 2 years. This is going to result in new habits being formed by the consumer. And I think what I'd like to share with you today is, how are you going to tap into the new habits that are going to be formed in this disruptive time that we're going to have over the next 2 years? Okay, so let me share some of these ideas. The first thing I want to share with you is to please remember this, especially when we're all feeling like, oh my gosh, this is too much. We're frustrated, is what some of you were saying. That champion traits are built during times of struggle, okay? Because that is when you really tap into, how can I survive this? How can I fight it? How can I move forward from this? You don't think like that when times are good. You only think like that when you're struggling and when we're in shock and when we are going through a trauma. So keep that in the back of your mind every time you think, oh my gosh, this is just too much for me to handle. You are building your champion traits, and don't forget that. Okay, so I'm going to take you through a few pointers of what you should be doing right now for your business. Number one, first and foremost, is make a conscious choice to fight for your business. Fight for your survival. I'm going to give you a few tools on how to do that. But now is not the time to sit back and chill and wait for ministers' announcements and sleep the day away. Absolutely not. Okay, put your war army suit on and get ready for the battle. Okay, and find every single little bit of information that you possibly can and any resource possible to fight for your business. Okay, I want to show you the second point that I want to share with you. This comes from a USA company called Board of Innovation, and I asked them if they didn't mind if I would share with them a couple of, they released this report that made me totally and utterly fascinated. And I asked for permission to share a couple of the facts on their report. And this to me was amazing. they were saying that what we should be doing is setting up our new economy growth initiative. And one of the things that we should be doing is turning to the offense method of thinking, which I'm going to show you another slide in a minute about it, okay? But the most important points that you can take from this is the two that have got the red ring around this, okay? And number one is your growth strategy. Sit down and think about, how can I grow in a low touch economy and outperform my competitors? And how can I pivot? Okay, massive word, which I'm going to bring up again. How can I pivot my portfolio? Because that's quite important right now. Okay, then developing an opportunity pipeline. So looking at the new customer behaviors, because there are new behavior patterns that are being formed, and saying, right, how do I align and how do I find new opportunities that will speak to the behaviors that are being formed by the way customers are behaving through what is going on at the moment. Okay, so I quickly want to talk about this word pivot, because a lot of people thinking that pivot is to completely change course, and they're going, well, I can't do that because this is my industry. Okay, so there's three little quotes that I've got here. And the bottom one is the one that I love the most. It says, a pivot is a change in strategy without a change in vision. So we're not telling you change your industry. Absolutely not. You're going to the same place. All you're doing is making, top one, making a business course correction. So changing a little bit in the direction that you're moving and saying, okay, how can I pivot? What can I do a little bit differently? Look at different angles that will get me to the same outcome. And then the one on the left says, embrace failure. Missteps and roadblocks are inevitable, but ultimately learn, pivot, and go after your goals with a new perspective. Okay, which I think is very, very powerful words. So what do we do now? Okay, this is still from this Board of Innovation company. What do we do now? They've given us a short term, which is a 3 to 6 week, and they've given us a long term, which is a 6 week plus what we do. And the most important one I want to outline to you is the one that is right at the bottom that I have also put in a red block that says there, understand the new economy and the growth opportunity it brings, develop a strategy on how to outperform your competitors, and plan to pivot or develop products, services, markets, and business models. And then long term is to look at how do we invest in growth areas, once again pivoting our existing portfolio. So trying to get to exactly the same place, just in a change of direction. Okay? So how do we do all of this that I've just shown you? So point number 3 is start your training and planning for the new abnormal. And you can do that now. You don't need to wait until one of the ministers announces, okay, guys, we're ready to get back to work. It's too late then. You need to sit down. I'm going to take you through a few tools and ideas, but now needs to start that training process. And how that starts off with is keeping in touch with your staff and keeping in touch with your clients, because they're all a part of planning for this new abnormal, which is the new world that we're going into. Definitely not a new normal, because it's a totally abnormal situation. We're going to be doing treatments in an abnormal way. So the first method, or the first idea that I have for you, is if any of you haven't done this, I would take out some time and do this. Do a spa, salon, hair salon. Okay, I've called it spa, but I am talking to the whole industry here. Whether you're in a salon environment, in a retail environment, or in the hairdressing business, send out a little survey to your clients, a safety survey, and I'll tell you why I recommend you do this. Number one, your clients are going to see that you are putting their safety first. They're saying, okay, hold on a second. They're interested in what I have to say about how do I remain safe and what safety precautions that they're putting in place are important for me. This doesn't need to be a lengthy survey. You can use one of those survey platforms, I think SurveyMonkey or whatever. I don't know them all too well, but I do know that you need to get this information out to your clients, and you need to get it back into your hands so that you know what are their expectations. Very, very important. Second of all, is there is a lot of this available, okay? I have one that we make available to the industry, but there are many of these available. Get your hands on a set of SOPs, on a list of suppliers where you can buy all this PPE equipment from, okay? And find yourself get your resources sorted out, okay? So we've got a resource pack that is available where we've got ready to use and adapt SOPs, we've got checklists, we've even got signage that you can use. So it's ready for you. All you need to do is go and have it printed and put up in all the different places. So signage that goes from your dustbins to your entrance doors, to your nail table screens, to your retail areas, to your basins, to the toilets, absolutely every single section of your salon, okay? There are other resources available. This is not the only one, and I want to stress that, okay? Because you can find these kind of resources in many different areas. But we do have these packs available for you, okay, should you need them. And please, I cannot stress enough to you the fact that this training has to start now. You cannot wait until the day before to line up your staff and say, right, because remember, how they are going to do treatments is abnormal to them. They're going to mess it up if you wait to the day before. You need to get them together, be it online or be it if you're allowed in the salon a certain number of you at a time, is get them to understand how vital the new system of operating is going to be within your businesses. Okay. The next one, okay, is training. Get your hands. There's a whole lot of trainers out there that are doing online training now. So you can get your staff online, or the owner. You don't even have to, if the owner wants to attend these kind of trainings. So, I mean, I've got a training that we've made available, but again, I'm not the only one. There are lots and lots of SOP training facilitators out there. What I'm trying to say is get your hands on these facilitators. If you don't feel comfortable that you know the sanitation and the hygiene and the sterilizing of the equipment, how to make a reservation now, because even that is going to change. Making a simple client booking is going to happen differently. Okay. The next one, I loved this one, okay? And the reason I love this one is I highlighted there at the top. Cosmetics sales, okay, have increased and this is in China, okay, but if it increases in China, it's bound to increase here by 50% compared to last year. I mean, that is massive, massive, massive. So you can see, and I'm going to show you, I'm not sure if I've got the slide, but one of the ways that one of the biggest in-store cosmetic brands in China pivoted, they had to close their stores. And how did they pivot? Is they turned their store ladies into online virtual consultants. And what happened to them? They saw a 200% growth in their numbers. So you can pivot. I need you all to understand that. You cannot sit in the hope of, we need to get back into our salons. We need to, because it's not going to happen, okay? It's not going to happen anytime soon. Treatments are not going to be open anytime soon. So look at ways that you can generate revenue now, and don't wait and dawdle till the day that you can get your hands on your clients. So my message to you is get online. Find a way, speak to your supplier. I'm sure they've got a system. But get yourself online in some form or another, okay? Mother's Day. Oh my gosh, this is Net Florist, okay? If you are not marketing Mother's Day, because remember, you may deliver product. You may sell gift vouchers. I mean, what an amazing, beautiful gift to give moms. And let me tell you, we can't take them out for lunch this year. We can't take them out for dinner. There's cash. Don't forget that. There's cash out there. So if you're going to wait by the wayside, Net Florist is going to take all your cash. I can tell you right now. Every single day I've been hounded by Net Florist. Today they said 10 days to go to Mother's Day. And tomorrow I'm sure they're going to go 9 days to go. So get your arse into gear is what I want to tell you. And start, here's a massive opportunity for you to generate huge revenue, but you've got to get out there and do it, okay? So here's a couple of examples. Buy 2 products, get a 500 Rand gift voucher and a 3rd product for free, online and delivered to her door, okay? Do something like this, get creative, okay? Here's another little example, just to give you some ideas. You might not be able to be with mom, but how about you give her the best gift ever, a professional and comprehensive online skin consultation with a product delivered to her door perfectly packaged. I mean, how beautiful is that? What mom is not going to want a virtual consult, okay? And a free product. All right, so before I carry on, Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mother's Day. I cannot stress that enough. You've got a massive revenue stream waiting for you. It's up to you now to make it happen. Number 5 is very weird for me when I first heard it. Very different for me. But I want to quickly tell you a story about an ex-South African who is living in Ireland. And she is booked up. She does 8 to 12 online skincare consults a day at 50 euros a consult. You do the math, okay? But I'm going to show you some math in a minute. And she says that she doesn't sell less than 3 products per online consult. Now that is amazing. She said to me that when they are allowed to return back to work, she is going to speak to her boss about becoming the resident online somatologist. She doesn't want to go back to therapy. She says, Marisa, I interact with them in a different way like I've never interacted with them before. It's more personal and up close about their skin. And that is what she loves, because she says when they come in for their treatment, we are psychologists. They pour out their whole life's problems onto us. But when she has an online consult, she feels like her expertise and skills are getting put to good use. Because now what are they talking about? The skin. So you can do this. If you're a hairstylist, you can do it. If you're a nail tech, you can take advantage of this. I believe that we have not tapped into this at all. I also am not of the belief that we should be offering these consults for free either, okay? Because for me, it's the value of your skills and your knowledge that you want to put across in these online consults. So I quickly want to show you some math that I worked out, and I worked on a very low base, in my opinion, okay? I've worked on 350 Rand on a consultation, 2 a day on the left side and 3 a day on the right side, okay? You work it out yourself there. 5 days a week over 4 weeks, you've got yourself 14,000 Rand a month just on online consults at a 350 Rand level. Not if where I believe these should be sitting at is at 500 Rand, not at 350 Rand. But I've worked off a lower level. You do 3 consults a day, only 3, okay? And Bronwyn in Ireland is doing 8 to 12 of them. So you do the math. And you can earn 22,000 Rand a month. So there are revenue streams out there. We need to pivot. We need to think about how can we do this, okay? Here's some marketing that you can get some ideas from, okay? Flawless, healthy skin starts at home. We're using the word home because everybody's on lockdown. Since your skin is locked down, we will send you help. Book your private consultation with our skin expert to begin your healthy skin journey today. Another one, are you ready to feel good about the skin that you're in? We are here to help you and will guide you through a comprehensive skincare routine. So you come out of lockdown with better skin than you went in. Another one, personalized and tailor-made to fit the skin you are in. Book a virtual consultation with our highly qualified skin specialist. Another one, since your skin can't get to us, we will come to your skin in a safe and virtual environment. Book your comprehensive online consultation with our skin specialist. And one more, we can't touch your skin right now, but we can see it, we can talk about it, and I can tailor make the essentials you need to achieve your skincare goals. Okay, so there's just a few examples. I promise you, you go and Google online consultations or just sit and brainstorm with your team a couple of words to use, and you can come up with some very, very clever marketing angles to get your team working while they're on lockdown with virtual consults. People are desperate for this kind of information. Okay, so a very quick step-by-step, but I'm not spending time on this, okay, because we do have a guide available for you, but there is a system, okay, the email that goes out before the consult, the actual consult. We've also developed a role play for you to be able to see how this actual consult takes place, okay, and then a follow-up email and your prescription, and then track the process till the order has been received, and then a check-in with your clients. Check in that they're knowing how to use the products. Send extra tips to enhance the experience of using their products. And also, most importantly, you want the testimonials so that your client that you've done this virtual consult with can help broaden the scope and how many of these consults you get booked. Okay. There is a guide that is available. Again, we are not the only resource for this. And you don't even need a resource, but some people have requested it, so we have done it. So it's a step-by-step guide, an SOP manual, basically, that tells you how to book and host successful virtual online consultations. Okay, this is definitely a very strong pivot for our industry because we have not tapped into it, yeah? And let me tell you, the countries that I've been in touch with, Ireland, England, and the United States, just 3 of them, are taking this virtual consults to another level. They are getting super creative and they are generating revenue for their businesses while they're on lockdown. And you can do the same. Okay. All right. I've got one video clip to show you. Are there any questions currently that we need to address in the chat box, Phil? Please could you show the first advert slide again? Okay.
One thing I would say, Marisa, is that we are recording this. It will be available on our YouTube channel, and on it's always going to be on the Facebook as well. So
okay, perfect. And also, if anybody wants to reach out to me as well, I'm going to put my email address in the chat box now. Okay. I'm going to put it in there, Marisa. If you want any specific slides or anything specific, you can always reach out to me again. Absolutely. I'm bringing up the hashtags in a second. No problem. Okay. We're going to answer all questions about delivery of product and all of that in the Q&A. Okay. So I've got one little video clip to show you. Then I'm going to show you one more slide on the social media. So hopefully you can all get posting lots and lots, okay? And then we're going to open up to the panel and ask them some very, very pertinent and important questions, okay? Please show the email again. I'll put it in the chat box again. Okay, so everybody, please take 3 minutes. It's only a 3-minute clip. What I'd like to ask you to do is clear out your minds and listen to the message of this video clip, please. Okay, here we go.
Rise and shine. 6 a.m. and your hand can't make it to the alarm clock before the voices in your head start telling you that it's too early, too dark, and too cold to get out of bed. Aching muscles lie still in rebellion, pretending not to hear your brain commanding them to move. A legion of voices are shouting their unanimous permission for you to hit the snooze button and go back to dreamland. But you didn't ask their opinion. The voice you've chosen to listen to is one of defiance. A voice that says there was a reason you set that alarm in the first place. So sit up, put your feet on the floor, and don't look back, because we've got work to do. Welcome to the grind. For what is each day but a series of conflicts between the right way and the easy way? 10,000 streams fan out like a river delta before you, each one promising the path of least resistance. Thing is, you're headed upstream. And when you make that choice, when you decide to turn your back on what's comfortable and safe and what some would call common sense, well, that's day one. From there, it only gets tougher. So just make sure this is something you want, because the easy way out will always be there, ready to wash you away. All you have to do is pick up your feet. But you aren't going to, are you? With each step comes the decision to take another. You're on your way now, but this is no time to dwell on how far you've come. You're in a fight against an opponent you can't see, but oh, you can feel them on your heels, can't you? Feel them breathing down your neck. You know what that is? That's you. Your fears, your doubts, and insecurities all lined up like a firing squad, ready to shoot you out of the sky. But don't lose heart. While they're not easily defeated, they are far from invincible. Remember, this is the grind, the battle royale between you and your mind, your body, and the devil on your shoulder who's telling you that this is just a game. This is just a waste of time. Your opponents are stronger than you. Drown out the voice of uncertainty with the sound of your own heartbeat. Burn away your self-doubt with the fire lit beneath you. Remember what we're fighting for, and never forget that momentum is a cruel mistress. She can turn on a dime with the smallest mistake. She is ever searching for the weak place in your armor, that one tiny thing you forgot to prepare for. So as long as the devil is hiding the details, the question remains, is that all you got? Are you sure? And when the answer is yes, and you've done all you can to prepare yourself for battle, then it's time to go forth and boldly face your enemy, the enemy within. Only now you must take that fight into the open, into hostile territory. You're a lion in a field of lions, all hunting the same elusive prey with a desperate starvation that says victory is the only thing that can keep you alive. So believe that voice that says you can run a little faster and you can throw a little harder, and that for you, the laws of physics are merely a suggestion. Luck is the last dying wish of those who want to believe that winning can happen by accident. Sweat, on the other hand, is for those who know it's a choice. So decide now, because destiny waits for no man. And when your time comes and 1,000 different voices are trying to tell you you're not ready for it, listen instead to that lone voice of dissent, the one that says you are ready, you are prepared. It's all up to you now. So rise and shine.
Okay, so there's the slide again with the hashtags for all of you who want it. And my message to you is exactly what was in that video clip. Rise and shine. Look for the opportunities that we have instead of panicking and saying, oh my God, when am I going to get back to work? Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed that. I think we are going to fill, we're gonna open up the questions to our panelists. Am I correct?
Yes, you are indeed, Marisa. Yep.
Okay, super. That's amazing. So, panelists, there are some questions that I'm sure you have had addressed directly to you, and if not, my phone, I think I'm a hotline. I think, in fact, all of us are hotlines at the moment for what to do and what not to do. So I'm just going to read the first question, and then maybe I'll ask one of you to answer first and then the other one to answer afterwards. So the first question I have is, how do you, Stav and Cherie, how do you both feel about the resistance that we have received from a few people and or suppliers with regards to the petitions and submissions that were sent to government to open up sooner? So we lobbied and we got everybody together to send those submissions, and we had a bit of resistance of people saying, no, we won't support it, it's too soon, blah, blah, blah. So Stav, maybe we can start with you. How do you feel about that?
I think it's based on the submission we made to government about a week ago, us and other associations. And I think we got some negative and positive feedback. The vast majority was positive. We had one or two people that did not agree. But I just want to put that into context. The first thing is, we need to understand that this situation is real. Okay, people are dying, people are losing their businesses, people are frightened. And if I looked at all the comments, there were a lot of nervous and scared people out there. Well, let me just tell you guys, you're not unique. Every single one of us is feeling that. I'm feeling that. Some of my colleagues are feeling it. People in businesses I know are feeling it. This is real and it's affecting everybody. So what we need to do is to understand what the circumstances are. This is not your fault. I think you need to accept that, there's certain things you can control enough and certain things you can't. This is out of your control. Once you accept that, it almost liberates you to start thinking more clearly and coming up with a plan and what you are going to do. So we need to be realistic. The circumstances that got us to submit to the government where we had an opportunity, the shopping centers were doing a submission, so we all got together and we put a submission through to the government. Now, like I say, 99% of the comments were positive, but we also got to address the concerns that 1% also put across. And the first thing I want to say is, not for 1 second are we suggesting we put our clients at risk. Not for 1 second are we suggesting we put our consumers at risk. All we wanted to do to the government is to do a presentation of what our industry is about. Because if you're a government official sitting behind a chair, you'll make decisions by a very layman's understanding about skin and hair. And what do they look at? Well, that's an industry that touches, forget it, put them on level 1. So we wanted to get the point across that, hang on a sec, we may touch, but as an industry, we naturally have certain protocols in place that will try and minimize the dangers that we have. Because if you think about it, what makes our industry that much more different to ladies standing behind a supermarket selling products? The touch is marginally less, but we are both in proximity. Hairdressing and skincare touch people, but we also sanitize more than most supermarkets do. So I think a lot of people that put negative comments on, and again, I've got to stress, it was the minority. They were saying things like, well, do you not care about your staff? Or do you want to put your staff and clients at risk? No, we don't. But do you think Pick n Pay wants to do that? And they are open. What we wanted to do is to present our case to government, and then we left it up to them to make the right decisions. And they do not want to make any reckless decisions like anybody else. So we presented a case, and we will follow the rules, the laws. But we wanted to make sure that our case is heard clearly, and we've done that. We've got to continue to communicate because we all have businesses that have to survive. Okay, so by way of background, I think if we can explain how we got and some of the negativity, I think that was what we really want to address. So you all understand. I hope you agree with me.
Okay, great. Cherie, from you?
Hi, Marisa. Yeah, I mean, I think, as Stav said, we had a lot more positive feedback, interestingly enough. We had a lot more support. I mean, I think the fact that we got a shout out from Lamini Zuma herself is actually testimony to the fact that there are a lot of people really wanting to come back for treatments. There are a lot of salons that are needing to open. So I think it's great that we got heard. Are we going to be agreed with by everybody? No, but I don't think everything's agreed with by anybody on anything. I mean, if we were to ask everybody's opinion on any of the regulations, you're gonna have such extreme disputes because they're just opinions. I think the tricky part is, what's the science of it? And so obviously we too are concerned about the virus. We don't want to spread it. We have a deep responsibility to not doing that. But we also have a deep responsibility to making sure our salons come through this and that we actually have an industry after this. And to Stav's point, what's the science of going into Pick n Pay? What's the science of going into Woolies? What's the science of being in a taxi with 7 people? I don't think anyone can give us a scientific answer. And so the challenge is that there's so much uncertainty. So we would not do anything that the government doesn't deem suitable. So we've put our voice forward. We've been heard. Our submission is in. If they feel that there is any validation in what we're prepared to do, we have to prove that. We have to have evidence of that. We have to have strong SOPs. We have to have a united front, which we're finally forming as an industry. We have to. It's real stuff. It's not. It's not lighthearted. It's real. What we have to commit to, and if we can show that, then they may consider our leveling as to when we can open up. But we're not going to get everybody to agree. I think what's important is that there was more positive than negative.
Yeah.
Also, nobody's forced to go back. Let's assume they decide to move us up to level 2 or level 3, please God. If you don't want to open your salon, it's obviously your choice. We don't want to do anything illegal, and a lot of the responsibility is on government to make the final decisions, and we'll conform to whatever they say. So they're saying we can't do hairdressing and can't do beauty. We're not doing it.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay, the next question. So I see the chat box very busy. Most of the questions that everybody's asking in the chat box, we are going to address. So and I know it's great to see that the chat box is busy, but if you can all just hang fire, I promise you I have a list of questions, and I think everything's going to be covered by the time I'm done asking all these questions. Okay, so the second question is, and maybe we'll start with you first, Cherie, is can you both comment on how you have dealt with landlords and rentals, and any advice on that front, please?
Look, I don't have to personally deal with them, which is fantastic. Somebody else who has to do that. But I think what's, Stav said it in his presentation the other day, is this is a time, it's a very unprecedented time. We've never been in a situation like this. So this is not about doing anybody out of what they do. We're all in a service industry. We're all providing something. We all need to be paid, right? So it's finding a middle ground. I think it's about negotiation. It's not about threats. We're very fortunate. We have very good relationships with our landlords, and we're part of a bigger group, particularly the Busby group. So we have between us a lot of stores, and we have an operational division that's really leveraged those relationships. So yes, there's strong negotiation, but there's also a kind of a partnership approach to it. But what we've actually done is deferred our rentals, and with the agreement to pay them off over 6 months. So they still will be paid. It's just they'll be paid over a period of time. Should we open now, just out of interest? We're probably going to consider a percentage of turnover option, because it is so uncertain, and we're probably not going to have much turnover. We don't know for sure. We think it's a fair one to say, look, whatever we do, you get a cut of it.
Okay.
That's our approach.
Brilliant. And Stav?
The first thing I want to say is that everything we say, they're opinions. So please don't go running to your landlords and saying, Cherie said we must do this. And so these are opinions, and we obviously, they're well thought through opinions, but they are opinions nonetheless. Yes. So, for me, dealing with landlords has been relatively new. It's about 2 years I started dealing with them. And when you go sign up in the shopping center, and those of you that signed, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The first thing they do is they bring up this chart and they tell you what the footfall is. So our our shopping center has 1 million visitors a month or whatever. And then they tell you that their rent is higher than the shopping center down the road because they bring those fees. Well, hang on a sec. So if circumstances change and you can no longer deliver the product that we signed for or the service that we signed for, how can you expect us to pay the same money? So we cannot let the landlords be the only part of the economy that doesn't share in the pain that we're all sharing. Yeah. But as Cherie said, the reality is if the shopping centers go broke, we will lose our businesses. What we need to do is to find a fair way to get them to come to the table. And they have always been arrogant. They've always been very take it or leave it in their attitude, but things are changing. We need to find a way to engage them and say, right, guys, we are all in this together. We cannot, as retailers, take the pain on our own. We've got to share this. And there is a time that, and I'm a little bit more aggressive dealing with the landlords. There is a time where you've got to walk away, because at the end of the day, it's all well and good you're having a business, but making no money, you're wasting your time. If I can just digress one second, because in my webinar I did about 2 weeks ago, I foolishly offered people to send me emails with advice, and I was inundated. I spent 2 or 3 days trying to get back to them. A lot of salons send me their P&Ls, and they wanted me to advise them. Let me just tell you what I saw with every single one, because the ones that are making money don't want my advice. Every single one that I saw were making losses, bottom line net profit losses. And then I was trying to go back and think to myself, why are they keeping this business open? And the first thing I look at is member salary, to see, are they taking salary out to make that worthwhile? And then I calculated back how much salary they're taking and how much money they got left at the end of the month. Most of them were taking between, I'd say, 7,000 or 8,000 Rand, to the highest I got is 25,000 Rand home. Why do you have that business if you can't make money out of it. And this is the time for you guys to restructure your business and have serious conversation with your landlords. So God forbid you can do while you open the salon, and that is make money.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you for that, for both of you. So I'm just going to digress from the questions a little bit. And the reason for that is that Bronwyn needs to go. She has got a commitment to go to another meeting. So I'd like to get the question, which was the last question, up front now, so that Bronwyn can address us all on that question. And I think the way to word the question is, I have been inundated with messages, like I'm sure all of you have, is, can we open our salons to sell retail product? Because the legislation was, or the information given out was, that anybody that has toiletries and toiletries, which is what we sell, shampoos, conditioners, skincare, toiletries, is allowed to sell their retail. So Bronwyn, if you can maybe give us a little bit of insight into that.
Thanks, Marisa. Hi, everyone. So the new, this will probably be, and I apologize in advance, a little bit legal. It's just how I think, unfortunately. But the regulations, the amended ones, were published, they came out last night, about level 4. And in those, it provides for permitted goods to be personal toiletries, hair, body, face, nail, and not, sorry, it doesn't say specifically nail, it says hand and foot care products. So if you sell any of those, you have a salon, for example, you can open up and sell those products to the public. You can sell them online if you have an online platform, and you can deliver them. So that's absolutely fine. Your landlord, if you're in a landlord environment, may require you to comply with certain sanitation and hygiene protocols. Those are set out quite clearly if you have a look at the various coronavirus websites on what you have to comply with. But most of us, having lived through this for now 5 weeks, have been to the shops. It's those kinds of sanitization and hygiene protocols. When you go to the shop, sanitize as you walk in, and those kinds of things. Cloth masks are now compulsory when you leave your home. That's a personal thing, but it's also for your staff and for your customers if they come into your stores. So short answer is yes, you are able to sell that. Just one thing there, if you sell makeup or fragrances, our view is that that is not included in that definition, just on the basis that that's not really a care product. It's more, and I don't want to be rude to anyone, but maybe it's an enhancement product if we think about why we wear makeup. So that's the issue there. So you are able to do that. The one proviso is you need a permit. So if you are a registered company, you will require a permit which you can obtain from the company's office. The website is www.bizportal.gov.za. It's very self-explanatory how to do that. Your staff will also need permits, whether you are a company or not a company. Basically, the permit is a letter of authorization, whereas you as the owner or manager of your salon or where you work, you are saying if the people get stopped in a roadblock, they are entitled to come to work because they are providing an essential or permitted service. They need to carry that letter with them in the car, as well as, or the taxi or the public transport in the bus. They need to carry identification, and they must wear cloth masks. It's now compulsory for employers to provide those, so just bear that in mind as well. And there's a whole education that needs to come. Marisa referred to it about your staff. You have to educate them under what can happen to them if they're not feeling well. They have to tell you, etc., etc. I'm sure you're all aware of this and you all know what has to happen. I mean, some of it is common sense, I guess. So under a sole proprietor, Cherie will talk to that. I'm not 100% sure what authorization they need, because obviously you can't get that from the company's office because you're not a company. Cherie will talk to that. But yes, you can definitely open and sell that. You may not do treatments. I think everyone must just be aware there are fines, and you can go to prison if you contravene the lockdown regulations. We all know it's all very widely published. So to sell those products, and then just engage with your landlords if you are in a mall, or your landlord if you're not, around safety protocols that they may have introduced that you'll need to comply with. So yeah, short answer is yes, you may sell those products.
And even, sorry, Bronwyn, just a quick question. Even a salon that is in a house, or a salon that is in a office park, for example, if they're selling that, may they open?
Yes, so my understanding is yes, it doesn't differentiate between where your salon is. It talks about retail, but whether you are selling from your home or from a business park, if you're selling to me, it's retail, right?
Yeah.
So for me, yes, absolutely. And just as Stav mentioned it, is that I'm by no means an expert on this, is that we're all trying to feel our way along. So take it from whence it comes. But yes, my view is absolutely.
Okay, super. Thank you. And Cherie, you were going to say?
Yes, Marisa, just on the sole proprietor again, I mean, I also want to upfront say the disclaimer. You know, we've come together as industry providers and in support of all of us, but you know, we're not lawyers, and by no means are we experts in all of this. We're learning as we go, and we're trying our very best to stay on top of everything. Hence, Bronwyn is like our full-time. I don't think she sleeps, because she's forever trying to interpret the regulations and what does it mean. My understanding of the sole proprietor story is, because you can't get a SIPC permit, only a company can. What you can do is, I don't know who's on the group on listening today, but if you're a salon and you're being supplied by Dermalogica, let's say, or whoever, you can get a copy of our SIPC from us. You need to get a letter from us that includes your name and your ID number and your tax number. And you need to provide us with a tax compliance, so the fact that you are tax compliant and you clear, and then we provide you with that letter and a copy of our SIPC. That allows you to distribute or to sell your products onto your end consumer. So that then becomes your authority. So that's how a sole proprietor would work. But it's important you have those documents, and if there isn't a tax compliance, it doesn't get issued, and that's the same for companies with SIPC.
Okay, and then I just want to clarify, nail products for retail, is that allowed as well?
Yes.
It is
As
allowed.
mentioned last night.
Okay,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the minister last night was, very entertaining about how you could have a manicure and a pedicure at home, because she'd allowed products to be sold. So it did make me laugh. But yes, so nail polish, because it's essentially a foot care and a hand care product. So nail polish remover, etc. Absolutely.
Okay, brilliant. Cherie, if you...
Could I just interrupt for a second? Couldn't people rather put the questions in the Q&A box rather than in the chat box, because they're going to get lost because we've got so much activity in the chat box, and the Q&A box is where it would be best to ask questions, then they hopefully won't get lost.
Okay, Cherie, thanks, Phil. Cherie, if you don't mind, Phil, where must Cherie post then her information, her answer in the Q&A?
So, well, we're putting up that information about the permits and what can and cannot be sold on our website on the lockdown page. So there's lots and lots of resources there, including everybody's webinars and all that sort of information as well. Sorry, the dog's trying to escape. Hello, dog.
Specifically is asking that that Cherie lists those documents that she said that a sole proprietor needs to, they would like that list.
So we were going to put that up as soon as we finished the webinar. We were going to put that information up, because Cherie has already shared that with us.
Okay, great.
In our group as well. So
so then where do people go for that? Phil, to your website?
To the Pro Beauty page, to click on the lockdown tab, and that information will be there within the hour.
Okay.
It's been a bit of a busy day, so we didn't manage to do it before we started talking.
Okay, super. I think, Stav, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just want to, because I think, we've had the discussion, a lot of people are getting confused on what we can and cannot do. So let's try and break it into very simple steps. Firstly, you can sell all the products that our industry sells. That's been opened up completely. In level 5, you could only do certain cleansing products. Now you can sell anything cosmetic. You can't sell hair dryers if you're a hairdresser. I don't know if there's any technical equipment that skincare therapists would sell, but you can sell any cosmetic product. If you've got a salon, you can open your salon and only sell retail products. You cannot do any services. You can't do any blow dryers. You can't do any nails. You can't do any facials or anything where you touch the client. There are certain regulations they've added for retail. So if you're going to do that, there's certain things you've got to do. And maybe this is not the forum to share it, but I mean, I'll try and share something as well. Now, I was concerned about saying what I've just said. Now, I also want to have my disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer either. But what I did do is I went to a legal firm and they gave me an opinion. And they were also going to get an opinion from senior counsel. But the opinion is exactly what Bronwyn said, is there's no reason why we can't retail. It doesn't matter if you retail from your warehouse or if you retail from your salon, as long as you own your retail. And one of the comments that came up is, what do we do about people that are going to other people's homes and doing services, whether it's nails, hair, or whatever? Well, I'll tell you my opinion. Firstly, it's illegal. You will get arrested, and we heard a story, there's a lot of urban legends going around about people getting fined 50,000 Rand and people getting arrested. You will get arrested. So it's illegal. However, we are not going to stop it, guys, whether we like it or not, unless we all want to choose one of the a competitor and go sit outside their house and just follow them around, see if they're going to do hair. So, and one of the questions I saw in the group, they asked, what do we do if we know somebody's doing it? I mean, do you really want to go down that route? Just let it go. If you're going to take those risks, you take them on your own. If you know somebody else is doing it, let them do it. Okay, it's not your moral responsibility. And morality does come into this, because if we want this to work, if half of society are supposed to be locked at home and the other half go running when they shouldn't be running, when they go open salons when they shouldn't be opening salons, we're putting all of us at risk. So we need to understand, take responsibility for all the actions that we make. But do I want to be the guy phoning the police and saying, the guy that Cherie is doing facials at home? I don't want to do that. So if you choose to do that, or if you choose to police people, I think you're going to waste your time and energy, and it's just going to eat you away. Guys, all we're trying to do is survive. We're all in the same mess. Believe me, the pain that you're feeling, whether you are the CEO of Edgar's, or whether you're Cherie or Marisa or myself or Phil or Bronwyn, every single one of us has the same level of stress. We are all feeling it.
Okay, thank you. Stav, you answered the next question before I even asked it, but that's okay. So
I'm a fortune teller, and I can see the industry is going to get through this. There we go.
Can I just add? I can see Cherie also wanting to add something, but also, if you're doing a treatment and it's illegal to do that treatment, your indemnity insurance would not cover you. So if something went wrong, boom, you could be out, and of course you can get arrested. Over to you, Cherie. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with Stav. I just think what is important is that everybody is trying to survive, but we do have a greater responsibility to managing this virus and flattening this curve and doing the right thing by humanity. So you're right, Stav, don't take it on, don't let it consume you, don't get angry, but if you want to report it. And I do think people will get reported. I do think people will be caught. And I mean, the bigger you are as a business, the more conspicuous you are. You'll get noticed. And remember, social media is an opportunity to go wide with these things today. So people might suffer bad PR. They might, your reputation will be damaged. And it's just not worth it. It's at the end of the day, if we all go back into lockdown, level 5, and that is a huge risk of that, then we're going to have to suck that one up, because anybody going outside of the law is going to have to own that. So I think we must take this as seriously. I mean, think about it. It's the government is doing what it's doing, not because it wants us to fail economically. It's because it's that serious. I do think we have to take that on board.
Yes.
Ethically.
Yeah, so Cherie, I feel a bit like you do, and not so much like Stav does. I like to be the reporting police. But I do feel that one of a good channel to do it via, that I was advised by the EOHCB, is to find the governing body that belongs to that specific offender. So if they belong to the bargaining council, we should report it to the bargaining council. We don't have to go to the police. Let the bargaining council, and in that territory, get hold of that person. If it is medical aesthetics, we've got to find who is governing the medical aesthetics if they are doing treatments that they are not supposed to be doing. And I feel like you do. I feel like that we all have to take responsibility to make sure that we don't go back into level 5, because the chances are really high that that can happen. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, from a Dermalogica perspective, we will do our best to enforce that. So if we're informed of a client that's doing it,
yes,
we're going to pick up the phone and we're going to say, listen, we really need you to not do it. So we can't force that, of course, but we can call upon that partnership, and obviously we supply stockists with a level and an expectation of professionalism that we hope we have a commitment to. So we would certainly follow it up as a company.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. In fact, I've already made a few phone calls to offenders, and I must say, they've been quite good about it. They've said, oh, sorry, wrong message sent out, wrong information given, we will correct it. Okay, so my next question, before we get on to, because I can see the Q&A is going mad with a specific topic, and we are getting to the aesthetic in a minute, okay? But my next question to the panelists is, how do the two of you feel that our industry is ready from an operational point of view to return back to work?
Okay, I've got a lot to say about that, as usual. Okay, so you know what? I don't think we want to overcomplicate what we need to do here. We've got to be intelligent, and we've got to do the right kind of things to ensure we don't affect our clients, God forbid, and our staff. So, I've had a lot of calls, people saying that we need to get a company in that'll come and fog the salon down. It's like 2,000 Rand. And, guys, let's think about it logically. All the decisions you make on the hygiene decisions you'll make, they need to be based on logic. Now, if your salon hasn't been occupied for 6 weeks, you've got no virus lying around. And regardless, in our industry, I assume that we will clean our salons anyway. So by all means, go and just give it a good wipe down and use a good disinfectant and sanitize what you can. But don't go absolutely ballistic and start going in with gloves and industrial sprayers. And you don't need to do that, because the reality is, if you do that, if you do get those foggers and you get someone to clean it, I know some of them have got a bit of a residual, that's how they sell it to us. But 2 days later, if somebody walks in the virus, it's going to contaminate everything anyway. So what you need to do is to focus on the things that will reduce transmission. So wear your face masks. If you do any intimate services, wear gloves. Make sure you wear visors or protective glasses. So you've got to do logical things. When we were putting the submission to government, we got a lot of crazy stuff that everyone's going to do. We're not going to wear hazmat suits and stand outside and spray our clients down. It's just not going to happen. And if you look at the supermarkets, they're doing the absolute minimum. I've gone to Pick and Pay where they're standing behind the counter and they don't even have face masks on. So do intelligent stuff. We are industry, regardless of what has happened recently, that follows certain hygiene protocols. Just raise them up a notch. And the government guidelines give you a good overview of what you should be doing. And they're not complicated. Just to familiarize yourself. Everybody's got these SOPs they're doing. I know Marisa's got one that's a bit more formal. I know Dermalogica, we all got them. So just read them and do logical things and make sure whatever you do conforms to the minimum requirements for government. One of the things they ask for is you've got to have a safety officer that ensures that whatever rules you put in, then you can be the safety officer. And you need to have a couple of things in writing. So if they do come ask questions, you can say, these are the protocols. I'm the safety officer. I'll make sure they get done. Don't overcomplicate this.
Okay. Cherie, from you, do you think that the industry is operationally ready?
I think the challenge we have, Marisa, is that knowledge is power. So we need to be informed. But I think there's so much information that what often happens is a misinterpretation. I mean, to your point about the salon who opened, who misunderstood. I think we have a responsibility to know the facts so that we are clear as to what is required. I think that's step number one. Are we ready in that regard? I don't think so. I think there's a lot available to people. I don't think people have got themselves organized enough yet to have drawn up SOP. I mean, what you shared earlier was brilliant. You know, you've taken away a lot of the pain for people, which I think if you can get organized, have your SOP ready, train your staff now. That's a requirement. Before we're allowed to open our doors, we have to have trained and shown proof of training to our staff. And yes, although Stav implies, you know, we should be doing the hygiene anyway, we all know that it's not necessarily consistently so. It's like, while one restaurant is really good with hygiene and another isn't. I think we need to review whatever it is that we do. I think we need to make sure that it is relevant and appropriate for the times we're in. And it doesn't really, for me, I have a different view to Stav. I don't really care what Pick n Pay or Woolworths is doing. I agree with the logic of what you're saying, Stav, but I think we have to step up and own our own benchmark.
No, I agree with that. So I'm saying that if you know, they have such low standards, all we've got to do is we've got to make sure our standards are higher than theirs within reason.
Correct. And that's what our thinking should be, is how do we, for best practice, I mean, forget COVID, just best practice. We don't know when the next COVID comes. So let's be prepared, as Marisa's kind of implying in her presentation, let's be prepared as an industry. Let's agree a standard. We've never had an industry standard. We've never charted something that we all back and say, that's our minimum standard. It's like if you're an accountant in South Africa, there's no question as to what an accountant can and can't do. A bookkeeper's a bookkeeper, an accountant's an accountant. They're different things. And I think we need to define the standard for nail, hair, skin, and say, okay, as industry representatives, do we represent enough of the majorities to sign that off as almost our code of ethics? Not because the government's going to come and check us, but because we want to do what's right and we want to put the consumer at ease. I think we owe them that much, and we owe it to ourselves. Because one thing I want to say is, I think we feel a little bit away from this thing in a way. Why it feels so surreal is it feels we're in a movie we're not waking up from. But we're behind the wave in South Africa. We're behind the virus wave. And the peak is coming in September. So they say. So when people start getting sick that we know, when our staff start getting sick, when families start dying, our own families, that is maybe when it starts to feel a lot more real. And I don't know that we face that just yet.
Yeah.
So, Cherie, if I can just add to that point, yes, I think we need to set an industry standard. Based on the submission we did a week ago, whatever it was, we've taken that submission and we're passing it around from supply to supply. Alison Yamman has got it, I think. I think she might have sent it back to me. So once I get it from her, I'll pass it to you, and then we can pass it to all the suppliers, and then we can decide what their protocol is, and then we can publish it to the industry. I think that's the best way, that everyone has an input and we all understand what the minimum standards are.
And can I just say on that note, I've shared it on groups, and I don't know how far and wide it's gone, but Dermalogica Global's also opened this up. I mean, the whole intention was to pull us together. And there is another webinar tonight, which I can send to Phil and we can repost it. But it is particularly about being back in touch and how it is that we can kind of set a standard and almost certify ourselves as an industry. So it's one not to miss. And if you do miss it, they are all pre-recorded. They're all recorded and you can watch them later. So whether you carry Dermalogica or not is irrelevant. This is all about helping each other. So I'm happy to repost that, but I definitely think watch that one.
Yeah, brilliant.
I've just said a question, just to be 100% clear, guys. You cannot do hair on your clients at home, even if it's one-on-one. You can't do any of our services that we do, nails, beauty, or hair at home. Second question, I've had a lot of this question, and I've got to be very careful how to handle this. And that is, can we send professional color to our clients at home? You know what, guys, that's your decision. My only suggestion is, if you're going to do it, do a proper consultation and do it in a professional hairdressing manner. I don't know if it's the right thing to do as an industry, because you don't want to undermine what you do in the long term. But guys, this is a different world. We need to think differently. So each one of you make your own decisions on how you want to do it. As a supplier, I'm not crazy about it, but I also don't want to stop you doing it because you don't care what I'm going to say. If you want to do it, you're going to do it anyway.
Stav, I've got quite a strong opinion about that. I think that it's a pivot for a hairstylist to do an online consultation to tell the client how to mix their color, their ratio, send them exactly what they need. I think it's an opportunity. Believe me, once, in my opinion, once we're allowed to go and have our hair done, there's no flipping ways I'm going to ask my hairstylist to send me my color home. I'm going to go into her. But in the interim, I see it as a massive opportunity to generate revenue. You charge for the consultation, and then you send them, I mean, imagine your shampoo plus your color plus your peroxide plus the little applicator brush. For me, that's income. I think it's brilliant.
Because the alternative, guys, is, you know, I understand we've got to protect our industry, but the reality is box colors out there. Okay, skincare's out there. People can do their own things. So what we've got to find is how we're going to protect our industry and make money in the short term. And I can tell you most of them are going to mess their hair up anyway, and they'll come running to you. But the alternative is either they'll go get box color, because nobody's going to walk around when they come back to work and they can't get an appointment with you with, I don't know, 2 months of regrowth. They're going to try and do it themselves. So we've got to compete against what the industry and what circumstances are throwing at us. So again, these are the points. You can argue for and against it. The final decision is yours. Make intelligent decisions.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So then let's quickly address, there's a lot of questions, but I know one of them, and Phil, I think you're going to answer that one because I can see the question box going mad about it, is that we've all heard that aesthetic doctors are returning to work tomorrow, okay? Facebook and Instagram have been flooded, so has my phone, like I'm sure your phones have, with posts of aesthetic clinics reopening, saying that they are doing Botox and they're doing needling and they're doing all this type of thing. So I think, Phil, you've had some clear and cut information that you can share with everybody so that we all know what you can and cannot do and who is allowed to do treatments from tomorrow and who is not.
Okay, yes, I can. We approached the legal team that work with the South African Medical Association, and they sent me a memorandum, as they call it, all very legalese. We will post this on our website page as well, but and it's not very long, but the salient points are, and I'll read it to you, sorry if it sounds boring. It is our view that medical services is wide enough to include aesthetic services. However, such services should be rendered by a registered healthcare practitioner in compliance with the Ethical Rule 21. I'm sure we all know what the Ethical Rule 21 is. And only a professional act for which he or she is adequately educated, trained, and sufficiently experienced, and under conditions and in appropriate surroundings, and not beauty therapists. It should also be services that are deemed to be medical and not experimental or alternative, i.e. must squarely fall within the context and scope of the specific profession. In other words, Botox is considered medical, but laser treatments or dermapen treatments are not considered medical. Aesthetic clinics usually are split into two business entities, being a medical practice with a healthcare professional administering treatments that are medical and or which fall under the Medicines Act, and then purely beauty somatology business. The healthcare practice is permitted to operate under Alert Level 4, however, the beauty business may not operate under the same level. And then it goes on with a bit more legalese in that way. So yes, an aesthetic clinic can be open, it can offer medical services such as Botox. There are certain hours that they can only work in doing those treatments. I think it's 9 till 5. Anything after that must only be an emergency procedure, but they cannot have a therapist doing treatments alongside them or with them in any way, shape or form. There you go.
Okay, so offenders, there's a lot of people in the question box that are very concerned and worried about isn't it going to kill the business of aesthetic centers that do needling? That they really are worried about this. So maybe Stav and Cherie, what do you have to say to these? Because I hear them and I'm with them with this concern. I too feel that the aesthetic doctors may be performing these needling treatments. They may very well do it. How will
it falls in the same category as beauty therapists and hairdressers. They can't do it. They can't do cosmetic work. But again, how will you police that? But having said that, you can't do it. So if you want to report them, obviously report them. But again, guys, we're not going to be following our clients around to see who's breaking the rules or not. They can't do it. And if you hear about it and they start taking your particular business away, then report them. But you're not going to stop it. It's not allowed. So if that's the question, it's not allowed. They're breaking the law. So,
Stav, I think what we're trying to do here is give some hope and guidance to the aesthetic centers. There's lots of them in the question box here saying, how can they stop or how can they protect their business and stop what's going on from affecting their aesthetic business? I think it's just some words of hope and words of guidance to them, maybe perhaps, that we need to give them.
Guys, the only thing is you can report that, I'm sorry, there's no easy answers here. We can't give you the holy grail. It's just not realistic. These things are going to happen. We've got to try and work around them. There's a brilliant American expression that says shit happens. It's not the fact that it happens. What do you do about it? Okay, and those are real things. So what we'd all like to do is to go and pick it outside their clinics and say, you guys are doing things that we should be doing, and we're not allowed to do it, and you can do it. It's just not realistic. So of course it's upsetting and painful. But some stuff we have to let go or report them.
Okay. And Cherie, any words of advice that you might have? I think it's more words of comfort that really we're looking for.
Just clarify your question that from the aesthetic perspective, sorry.
So there's a lot of aesthetic salons out there. Okay, so they don't have doctors, but they are aesthetic salons, and their main revenue comes from needling, peels, chemical peels, laser. They've invested a lot of money in that. Now, the aesthetic doctors, are starting to operate from tomorrow. They are, according to Phil, not allowed to do those procedures. But Facebook and Instagram is full of them advertising that they are going to be doing those procedures. So there's a lot of salons that are in the question and answer box saying, how's my business going to get affected by this? So I'm more, yes, okay, Stav saying let's report them and whatever. But I think maybe we need to look for I don't know, a practical idea to help them get through this and some words of hope and comfort and advice to them.
Look, I mean, I think that, the first thing is that, everybody's threatened. Everybody feels afraid and protective of their businesses and wondering how they're going to get through this. And as Stav said earlier, that includes us. We're all in that same boat. I think what's important is, as we also said earlier, we can only work on what we can control. And putting energy into stuff that we can't control is a waste, because we need a lot of energy and a lot of focus on the things that we can. So I know that it feels unfair, and it will be unfair for a lot of people, but nothing about this virus is fair. And I think what's important is to try and say, okay, what can I do as an alternative? If I pivot to digital for now, can I turn my focus into skin consultations, selling the products now? This is a big green light for us. The fact that we can open up sales to our full range, it is a lifeline. And I would say the priority, get selling your products. Keep your engagement with your customers. Be doing your consultations. And, maybe some of your clients might go to a doctor. But the truth is, mostly with consumers who have a relationship with a salon, if they are salon-going customers, they want to support their therapist. That's the nature of our industry. They don't normally want to just go to anybody. So you might get people who do, but then I don't think they were loyal to you in the first place. I think they're prepared to go to whoever's available, whatever's convenient, or whoever's cheapest. But if you've got good relationships, I think you'll be able to keep your clients. Maybe you'll lose a bit now, but they'll come back. And the important thing is actually, what are you going to do to survive? How are you going to pivot? And what are you going to start doing from now, not in 2 weeks' time, from the beginning of lockdown? I've never worked so hard in my entire life because we can't afford to stop. We have a responsibility to everybody. So while a lot of people want to time out and they wanted to process and think, I mean, we all want that, but we don't have the time to do that. We have to get all of our stockists through this pandemic. And I think a quote that resonates with me is, it's not the strongest or the fittest that survive, but the most adaptive. So if we complain less and worry less, let's just get on with what can we do? What does this allow? What's the opportunity? How can I collaborate? How can I think differently? We have to think differently. That's it. We just have to put our energy into that.
Okay, super.
Can I just clarify, because I can see we're getting still questions about the medical aesthetics thing. So a medical aesthetics doctor can do medical procedures during daytime opening hours, as long as their salon or establishment is approved for that in the first place, which it should have been. And those medical procedures are things like Botox and fillers, etc. They cannot do laser treatments or Dermapen treatments, and it's only doctors that can do treatments. So if you're a somatologist, you are not able to do treatments, whether you're at home or in a salon or wherever. If you're a beauty therapist and you have a laser machine, you cannot do treatments. So hopefully that has clarified it. And if not, ask me, as Cherie is about to.
Yes, Cherie, yeah.
Just to add as well, Marisa, I think, there's nothing wrong with educating consumers. Remember, they're also confused. I just saw something come through on a chat about social media is misleading. I think that's true. I think we're all being overwhelmed by so much fake news and what's real. I think if I was a salon owner, or certainly as a product house, I would say educate your consumers. Tell them, keep them up to speed. Say to them, guys, this is the latest in the regulations. This is what we are and are not allowed to do. Because we put your health first and you are our priority, will therefore not be opening. And so as much as it's hurting our business, it is because it's not permitted. Yes. In the meantime, we'd love to ask your support in the way of getting your products from us, or buying gift vouchers for the future, or work with us on skin consultations, because that way you're supporting us. I think educate them, give them the facts.
Yeah, I think that's the best for me, is to reach out to your client base and say to them, look, they might be doing it. My obligation is to flatten the curve. I'm taking responsibility as a business, as an individual, and I would love it if you would support me on my journey. And
then the onus is on the consumer. She's got to make an ethical decision, And
there's another quite important question here that I see is coming up quite a bit. Stav, you might be able to help with this, and maybe you, Cherie. So I'm subletting premises from my landlady. I've asked her for a rent reduction, but she says I have to pay because her landlord hasn't given her a rent reduction. What can I do? That's a bit hectic.
Guys, I think in those kind of situations, you obviously got a relationship with your hairdresser. Have a discussion. And then if the landlord doesn't give her a reduction, then maybe the rented chair and the owner should go and meet with the landlord. Guys, you can't let landlords get away with it. I promise you, they've got no place to hide now. You've got to be reasonable and negotiate intelligently. But, they got to take a cut. It's just, they can't be the only industry in the world that's not going to suffer. It's just not going to happen. It's not in their control, because all our turnover is going down by 20, 30, 40%. They're not going to get the same rent, even if they want to. We'll all close our doors and walk out. They won't have a shopping center. So if that's the case, speak to your hairdresser first.
Stav, a salon that is renting premises, I suppose, I think.
No, so it's a rented chair. So somebody's renting space in the salon. They got a relationship with the salon owner. Okay, so the salon owner is saying to the person renting a chair, I can't reduce your rented chair value because I'm not getting a reduction from my landlord, which may be true or may not be true. So you need to speak to the owner of the salon, and you may need to both go to the landlord and have a discussion.
Okay.
The other thing is that the market in rented property is going to be through the floor. If they evicted a salon, they're not going to fill that space. They need salon owners, they need us to fill their premises. So
absolutely,
all right,
you're going to push on the advantage.
Yeah, so much.
I also heard something, and I'm not sure if any of you can clarify it, but they cannot evict you if you don't pay rent over this time.
No, not over the short term, no.
Okay.
So it's still going to be a fight. You're going to have to fight down the line. So if it gets very adversarial with your landlord, you're going to have to fight it down the line anyway. But that's where you're going to start talking, guys. You know, I have a lot of clients phoning me saying, Stav, I can't pay you. The fact that they phone us, we always try and find a way to work out something, you know, pay us half or whatever. It's the clients that don't communicate. Because it almost, you feel disrespected. I mean, we're happy to help. We're here to help you. But let's work this through together. You know, we can't be the only people carrying the can as an industry. Marisa, I just want to quickly cover one of the things, and you might be asking the question, one of the things that came up is how does the hairdresser do a consultation? Okay, yes. you discussed the skin. So can I use you as we do a bit of a role play very quickly?
Keep asking the questions, answering them before I've asked you.
Yeah, sorry, what do you want to ask me the question?
Yeah. How would a hairdresser go about doing a virtual online consultation?
Okay, Phil, perhaps you'd like to answer that? Okay, so I'll do it in a form of a role play. And again, guys, this is not complicated. All you need to do is to duplicate essentially what you should be doing in your salon. So if Marisa is my client, it would be a very simple discussion. Hi, Marisa, I thought I'll just call you on a webinar very quickly just to see how you're doing, ask you a few personal questions. So how are you looking after your hair? Because obviously I'm very concerned about your hair. So how's it looking? Is there anything I can help you with, any advice I can give you?
It is very dry, it's breaking, and the grey roots are diabolical. I mean, I'm desperate here. Okay,
guys, it's game over. Now listen, what I did here, I asked her to tell me what her problem is. Fortunately or unfortunately, depends on which side you sit. Nobody's going to say my hair's looking fantastic because we've all gone through trauma. We're not washing it as much. We've got regrowth. So you've got a ready-made audience. So Marisa said to me, her hair's dry and it's breaking and she's got regrowth. All I've got to do now is to solve her problems. Okay, Marisa, well, let me tell you a structure that we've set up. Obviously, your hair needs moisture and it needs to be treated. So what I can do is I can recommend, I know the products you got because you're a client of mine. I'll look at your record card and I will send you a treatment. Okay, we'll deliver it to your door. If it's over 1,000 Rand, it's free delivery. If it's less than 1,000 Rand, then you got to pay 50 Rand. And we can look after your hair while you at home. Can I do that for you? I will send you a recommendation. Right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, good. All right. I'll send something to you. Put the money in my bank. Okay, so that's the point. You need to find something, whether it's skin, nails, or hair. You can have the same conversation. If you want to sell something, find out what your client needs are. How do you find their needs? Ask them. How's your skin doing? How can I make your skin better? They'll tell you. You'll give them the solutions. Simple as that.
So Stav, just to add to that, and then Cherie, you can also add to it, but part of that guide that we developed for virtual consultations actually goes very in depth on how to do them, from the email that is sent to the client, because you're supposed to send them an email first asking them questions and asking them for photographs, inclusive of hair, okay? And I've actually done a, like a role play with a hairdresser. She has assisted us in putting together the SOP for how to do hairdressing virtual consults. Then to the actual call that you do with the client where they show you the regrowth, they show you what they're using and blah, 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 to the actual follow-up email and the prescription that tells them exactly like what you've said now, but it's all documented nicely and in writing. And I think the key here, and I'm sure you will all agree with me, is to make sure that it is very heavily professional, because you're charging a premium price for a consultation. So it can't just be a fun call. It needs to be I'm going to find you solutions as the professional. There's even like a PowerPoint presentation that you can have prepared with 2 or 3 slides. If the client on their questionnaire says, I've got dry hair and regrowth of grey, you pull out from your PowerPoint the slides that are applicable to dry hair solutions and regrowth. So I think the key here is that if the hairdressers and the nail techs and the skin therapists are going to go down this virtual consult road, You've got to be super ultra professional and keep it at the level of where you can charge for what you're wanting to charge. And then Cherie, you had something you wanted to say about that.
Yeah, I just want to add that in that dermalogica.com we're in it together link, there's also a lot of tools, like you've said, Marisa, of how to do it. Because look, you talk about a pivot and it sounds easy, but it's a change of behavior for a lot of people. So we have to learn new skills, and being able to do Mirror Me, and the way that you actually promote yourself on social media. We've never been so blessed with information and tools coming at us for free that people are sharing their IP. So there's absolutely no excuse for us to be upskilling ourselves. I want to add to your point about consultations. We're doing virtual skin consults, so are our clients. And it is incredible to see how many people want to do it, because what they've got is time they don't normally have to spend on themselves, to take care of themselves, and also to learn and read stuff. Even if you look at Woolworths, look how much Woolworths is communicating with us, how much they're telling us about things they do or what they've done or updates, because we've got time to really read and understand how that business or brand differentiates itself. So what I also think, to add to your point, is teach them how to do a blow dry. Charge them for that. Not an exorbitant fee, but teach them how to do a blow dry. Teach them how to do tonguing and going out fancy styles, and then share it on social media. And the best hairstyle gets an award, gets a prize, or wins some products, or you can buy your vouchers now for later. But the bottom line is it's engagement and it's education. And you'll be surprised how people want to learn from professionals. But you would never feel like you can go into a hairdresser and say, listen, would you teach me how to do that? But now they can. And that won't stop people going to professional salons. As you've said, Marisa, we'll never do it as well as a professional. And we're going to rush out there as soon as we can to go get our blow dries done. But don't underestimate the power of sharing knowledge and empowering the consumer, because they all want to look good, feel good. And I think there's an opportunity and a revenue stream there.
Brilliant. Okay, that sounds fantastic. Phil, I don't know if there's anything else here that you are seeing that's
no, there's nothing that I don't think we haven't covered. I did just want to, Cherie brought this up earlier before we did the webinar, about what can sole traders, particularly small salons, do to survive this. And whilst there's no specific government funding in place at the moment, we are pushing it. We've been working, all four of us on this group and others in the industry with EOHCB and other associations, bargaining council and SARS, etc., to bring the industry to the attention of government. And obviously, I think that is also a step that we have to try and look at. But as I think Stav mentioned earlier, everybody's after government money at the moment, and we're not necessarily the loudest voice in the African economy, South African economy, but we do hear your pain, and that we will do our best in the same way as trying to get clarity on when salons, etc., can open. But just so that people know that they're not on their own, we are also feeling their pain and trying our best as well. End of speech.
Yeah, there is an interesting question here that I'd like to, if I can answer it. Somebody is saying all these extra expenses that are going to come into the salons when we open, because there's a lot of sanitizing, masks. I spoke to a client in Angola a few days ago, and she told me she went through one box of those 3-ply masks in one day on her first day. So they're saying, will we be able to lift up our prices or charge a COVID surcharge to get back on our feet? And I'd like to answer that with an idea that I heard from a colleague in Chicago, and they are calling it the COVID care charge. So they have a name for it. I thought that was beautiful, COVID care charge. And she said that clients are totally open to paying it. And why? Because they can see that the salons are taking the extra precautions and they do understand that it costs extra money. So I thought that was brilliant. So not to up our prices, because look, everybody again has to do what's right for their business. But I think that financially, people are going to be stripped to the bone, okay? And to all of a sudden go out there and all of a sudden prices are up by 10 or 20 or 30%, it could cause a problem. But to have a COVID care surcharge and give it a nice name, that all treatments are upped by an extra 100 Rand to help us cover the cost of sanitizers, masks, disposables, blah, 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 blah. I think that could be something that will be accepted. Again, I would put that in my safety survey that I send out to my clients to see how would you feel about paying a COVID care surcharge when we're back to opening. So I don't know if Stav or Cherie has anything to add to that. You don't have to.
Before you said that, Marisa, I would have said no, because I think nobody's going to want to pay. No. I think your idea is a good idea. With a lot of these things, you don't know how consumers are going to react. So yes, I think it is an opportunity. You can package it in the right way, but also everyone's going to be watching their pennies. And I can tell you, most of our industry is dependent on imported products. There's a crap storm coming. We had a 30% depreciation in exchange rates, and it might even get worse. No supplier can weather that. I mean, maybe a couple of months. I'm hoping that things will look up by the time we get back. So I actually don't know how to answer that. I think there will be extra costs. How you pass them on, I'm not yet. There will be. How you pass them on may be a bit controversial. Hang on, I plug my laptop in.
A question for both of you that has come up quite a lot, Cherie and Stav. The people, the delegates are asking, are you open to sell to customers? So is Dermalogica selling product to salons? And Stav, are you selling color? They're asking. There's a lot of that in the chat.
Sorry, I was going to get onto that because we've spoken about everything that we can't do. So let's take a look at what we can do. There's only one thing you can do. And for me, if I was running a business, you've got no choice but to be part of it. And that is you can sell retail. You have to do something. You need a little bit of income trickling in. If you can do 10, 20 grand coming in, it's income you don't have. And everybody's scrounging for the pennies at the moment. Now, I can tell you what we've done, and I know all my competitors have done it as well, and Cherie, I think, has done that as well, but I'll let her speak for herself, is we are allowing hairdressers to take orders from their clients. So you get your order from your clients, okay, consult with them, get the order from the clients, they pay you retail price. You place the orders with us and you pay us price to trade. We will supply directly to the consumer free of charge. Okay, that way you can tick over a little bit of business. Or if you're in a shopping center where you don't have a major fight with your landlord and you can sell retail, then do that. The only problem is if you're going to open your salon, you're going to bring in staff, they're going to cost you 20 grand a month. And your landlord's going to say to you, well, you're open. Now, I'm not giving you a reduction. You're going to have a problem. So you're going to make that call. But regardless, there's an opportunity for you with all the suppliers I think are doing, or most of them, that you can sell retail to your clients. You can either take advantage of it and make money or not.
Okay, Cherie?
Yeah, I mean, we actually launched an affiliate program about 5 years ago. That may have been a little bit ahead of its time, but because South Africa was a bit behind e-commerce, salons were a little bit slow to adopt it and maybe a little bit scared still of e-commerce, a little bit threatened by consumers buying online. I think the reality is now is that it is what it is. It's, the consumer's been there for years and we need to meet them there, because if we don't meet them where they are, we lose them. Now, COVID is amplifying that simply because we are now physically shut. We cannot connect with our customer in any other way. And so it makes the digital pivot absolutely imperative. So our affiliate program has been reborn because we moved onto a Magenta platform. So we've improved our whole web shop functionality and the way that the consumer navigates in the system. And if you're a Dermalogica customer, you get an affiliate code. And you get all of the assets created for you. And all you do is you market yourself on all of the platforms that we teach you to do. And there really are great tools in that link, which I know Phil will share. And the sale happens by your customer using your link, and the commission goes to you. And we do the delivery straight to the customer's door. So we pick up all the costs, all the operational mission, the e-commerce support, which by the way is expensive, you know, running a back end, all of the building and the coding and all of what goes on, it's expensive. So for a salon to do that in their own right is probably too much. And so we carry that cost to do it for you. And that's working very well. And in fact, it's proving to be quite a valuable lifeline. So the more people are tasting it, the more they're actually going, wow, this is worth it. And they're actually starting to enjoy it. It's quite interesting to see how behavior is changing. I mean, you use your New Zealand lady, your island lady, Marisa. You know, when you start to change, it actually becomes invigorating. And you think, oh my goodness, this is actually quite cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's a new world, but hey, we've got everything we need. It's about embracing it.
Yeah. So Cherie, I'm with you on the comment that you said, because we also launched a platform like you do, like you have. And when we launched it a year ago, it was not, and ours is only a year old, yours is 5 years old. It wasn't, clients were like, oh, I don't know about this. Now, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, everybody's gone mad on it. And
no choice.
We do exactly the same as you. We do their delivery. So it's brilliant. It really is nice to see that the suppliers are doing things like that, delivering the product, and especially at a time like this, you know. But from tomorrow, salons can open and sell their retail if they've got certificates. So, I mean, my strongest advice to everybody out there is it's amazing how in the past, retail was not part of the bigger picture of our revenue. I remember us doing seminars after seminars after seminars, retail. Nobody was interested. Now, all of a sudden, watch what's going to happen to the retail industry. It's gonna take over, which I think is amazing. I think it's fantastic.
You know what I would do if I was a salon owner? I would get my client record cards out. I'd put them down from A to Z, 200 clients. I would spend 3-4 days phoning them all and doing a virtual consultation. They don't have to do it. Offer it to them free of charge or charge for it, whatever you're going to do. But have a list, phone them.
Not free of charge, please. Not free of charge.
Not free of charge. I cannot free of charge.
No. I would like everybody, I feel very strongly about this, and I keep telling all the therapists and salon owners I come into contact with, is I ask them the question, what is the value of your hour? I always ask people that. If I had to ask for 1 hour of your time, how much would you charge me? Now, if you are charging any less, and I believe you me, I would charge 5,000 Rand for an hour, but obviously nobody's going to pay that. Now you've got to, well, some people would, I suppose, but not everyone. So, but now you've got to take what you feel is your value, your worth, and marry it to what the consumer is willing to pay. And that's why I'm adamant that we should not be doing these online consults for free. Yes, Cherie?
I agree with you. And I think a way around that as well is to add value. So, you know, what we want to be doing is thinking ahead. So if you're doing a skin consult, and by the way, it's proven very successful with us because we've also got live chats. So if you've got live chat, people can answer things online and they love that. And it's proven that it's increased the number of units people buy just because of live chat. Just that's on a website, different to the skin consultation we're talking about. But just something to add to the skin consultation is, you know, yes, let's say they pay for it, which maybe they weren't used to before. Give them a Rand back on a service or a product, either a product immediately or on a service later. Because that way, you also have a hook to get them back into the salon when we are ready for them, that anyone who did a consultation with you gets 100 Rand or whatever it is towards a service later. So it's revenue now and it's treatment later.
Okay, sounds great. And then Phil, there was a question, please, that you were going to answer.
Yeah, it was with regard to the medical aesthetics notification we got. We will be posting it on our website reasonably shortly for people to see, and that's probeauty.coza, and it will be on the lockdown tab. We will also have this whole chat is being recorded, so that will be on our YouTube channel. Joanna is also monitoring what we're saying, and she'll be putting an article together as well. So hopefully things like clarifying the points for sole proprietors will be covered. And if you have any further questions that you feel we haven't covered today, we will happily answer those if we can, if you email info@probeauty.coza. So just go to the website and click on the contact page, and that will, and we can then refer it to the three of you if we can't answer it, or others.
And then Phil, could you also please post, there's a lot of people asking for the list that we mentioned earlier. Somebody read it out, toiletries, this, that, I think it was bronze. Could you post that list? Because a lot of people are saying, can I sell devices, like needling devices? And my answer is no, but I'm not sure. Can we sell makeup? I don't see it on that list, so my answer is no. So I think that list is very specific. So if you don't mind, could you post that as well, so that anybody who needs to double check themselves can go and cross-reference to that list, please?
Yeah, we will be putting up the complete document, and we can also highlight the relevant passage that refers to our industry. Yeah.
Okay.
Just bear with us for an hour or so.
I think it's in everybody's interest to read the full regulations, because the obligation is on us as business owners to be informed. So whether we heard it on a seminar or not, just no one's interested in. They want everybody has exposure to the regulations. They're on the government's websites, and we need to be informed on what it entails. I think, Marisa, if I can just, I don't know where we are with questionings, but just something to leave everybody with is use this time to get ready for this new chapter, because it's disruption, and disruption is what pushes human beings forward. So I think if we ask ourselves, what does this allow? What does this mean for a new way of being and a reinvention? That's got to influence our thinking. But in the meantime, train your staff, get them on the virtual classes that are being run. We are training more people virtually than we have in a physical brick and mortar classroom. We have more people online. It's incredible. Get your SOPs ready, prep your back in touch communication for consumers, do your digital pivot strategy, work with your product houses that you work with, and come up with marketing campaigns. This is a time to be marketing your business more than ever. So for me, it's use the time properly. This is not a holiday. This is an opportunity to do a mini MBA and a business plan.
Cherie, there's quite a lot of people asking for you to please give the support and webinar information. So I don't know if you can go into the chat box and just type it in there to make sure that it goes to all attendees, because there's quite a lot of people asking for that. Please, can you give them the information for that? Phil, is there anything else?
No, not that I can think of. We have reposted Cherie's thing on our social media as well. But yeah, please do that. Quick, or I can do that for you, Cherie, if...
There is one more question here that a lot of people are asking. Under which category do we register on CIPC? Can anybody assist with that?
I think there was it distribution or...
Health staff, because I think that
I don't know if there was a health. I think there might have been a distribution. I think there was distribution. I can't remember. I did it a couple of weeks ago.
Cherie, do you have any idea what a salon?
So while you're trying to work that out, I was going to say something. While we were talking, Debbie from Sparkle got hold of me, and she said she's got somebody that's been giving really good advice to tenants of shopping centres. So if anybody wants to get hold of her, I'm sure you all know Sparkle. Maybe give her a call. Don't inundate her. If you've got serious questions, and then maybe just call her or send an email.
Not put it in the chat box, Stav. Then nobody has to. If she's still on, if she can.
She hasn't said I can. So I would not. I don't want to do it without her agreement. So I'm sure people know how to get hold of her. Sparkle Cosmetics.
Okay.
Hope I'm going to get a free hamper for promoting your brand.
Do I get a free hamper from all of you?
Maybe I can get my nails done. Okay, super. All right. I think that's about it. Look, Phil, there are still 69 questions in this box. I think we've touched on most of them. I don't want anybody to feel offended if we haven't, but it's almost impossible to try and work through all of this. So,
Yep.
I mean, they can get hold of you at Pro Beauty. They've got, I don't know if maybe we should all in the chat box go and put our email addresses. I don't know if we want to do that, but anyway, I'll put mine. In case we haven't addressed anybody's questions, then you can get hold of us. Is that okay, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if people want to email us at info@ProBeauty, we will obviously field any inquiries to you guys as well. So, you know, we will happily, as always, act as the friendly conduit for the industry.
Well, there's some people that are saying they can't find the lockdown tab on the website.
Okay, so Stacey has just put it on the chat, so I got it wrong. My apologies. It's the COVID-19 tab.
Okay.
So,
So, well, I think that was amazing.
I was busy answering I was looking for the SIPC answer.
Yes.
I can send that to you, Phil. I just need to look it up. I can't exactly remember that.
Okay, so what we would fall under, what the salons would fall under, okay, brilliant. Yes.
So sorry, just a question. I posted my email address and it's got something that says privately. Can you guys all see my email address?
You must.
no.
I'll type it, Stav. You must click all attendees, but I'll put your email address there.
Okay.
Do you want
Do you know it?
No, the Stav one.
Do you want
Stav.
the
No, Stav.
So Stav, okay. I think I know.
Stav at Twincare.co.
I know that email address, Phil, quite well.
How you communicate, I know. Okay, good. Well, I'm happy.
Somebody there has said category A. So Lee has said to all the attendees that we fall under category A. So, I mean, I think that's quite nice. Okay.
Good.
So, Phil, am I allowed to quickly go and ask everybody to please go into the chat box? And if they will put how they're feeling now. If you can put in a checkout word, just tell us how you're feeling after this meeting. Oh, I love it. Awesome. Heaps better, motivated, grateful, uplifting, excited. Love it. Hopeful, enjoyed it, inspired, amazing, proud of our industry. Woohoo! Somebody else says. Amped and inspired, motivated. Oh my God, I love it. Positive. You see, guys? I love it. Ek love it. Ek love it. That's probably
You need to attract what it is, right? So
I love it. Love it. I'm thankful. Can you see, everybody, how your messages changed from frustrated, irritated, annoyed to all these wonderful, amazing comments that everybody's putting up? So everybody, spend your time wisely. What you put into your brain and what you put into your heart and your soul is what you're going to give out. So don't get caught up in the crap and the nonsense. Just focus your energy on what you can do. Pivot, retail, and do those online consultations. Okay.
And I think, Marisa, you know what? For the first time, our industry is really working together. People are truly leaning in to help each other, you know, and I just think that is an incredible gift. You know, COVID's bringing us lots of challenges. It's bringing us incredible gifts as well. And just what's capable through a more collective, collaborative, united force. We are in it together. That's how it is. Our industry is all about that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. These messages are absolutely lovely. Pivot, pivot, pivot. I love it. Okay. Awesome. Somebody's watching from the UK. Yay, that's fantastic. Okay. I'm sure there's other people from other countries here too. It's wonderful to connect with everybody, and thank you for the ears, guys.
Well done, Marisa. Thank you, Phil.
Pleasure. Thank you all.
Guys. I woke up this morning and I'm lucky enough I live near work and I've got a certificate so I can come to work. And the first thing I noticed is how clear the sky was. So all the way from Sunny Hill, I could see all the way to Sandton. And I thought, shit, you know, we always wake up and we can't see past 2 or 3 kilometers because of all the pollution. So there's positive things in every negative. So that really lifted my spirits this morning.
Oh.
And I think our industry will thrive when we are allowed to get back, and we do have to wait for that time. I mean, if anything, people are recognizing how much they need this, how much we need touch, we need therapy, we need massages, the stuff you only know when you don't have it. So I actually think we're one of the industries that are going to be blessed with a real surge of new customers. Wellness and health is going to fly. Yeah. So if you choose to see it, I think we've got a better opportunity than we've ever had, actually.
It's just hanging on now, Cherie. I think that's what's scary people, that they're running out of money. How do they pay their staff? But there's a lifeline now, everybody. We can retail, so do it. We can. Yeah, we can network.
For help. Talk to people. You'll be amazed how people can help people. It's just have the conversation. Don't suffer in silence. Talk to people. Collaborate. Link up with others. We've all got the same problems. So when you put more heads together and you put more energy together, you'll be amazed where solutions come from, where help comes from.
Yeah.
You know,
yes, we're all in this together. It's a cliche, but we are. We're all feeling the same pain. And
Great.
Okay,
people.
Thank you so much for facilitating, and thank you for allowing me to do my little coaching session on your platform today. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you all again for attending as well, and we will get through it. So.
Yeah. Thank you to all the clients for their support. You know, we aren't who we are without our clients. Without all of you, we're nowhere. So, you know, thank you for holding us during this space too, because we really are who we are because of your passion and your support over many years. So thank you.
And
thanks, guys.
Okay, Beeps. Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
I still want to stay on and chat, Phil.
Yeah.
You know me.
It's the weekend.
Not
Bye.
yet. Not